Let's see what Liverpool fan Lola Katz-Roberts thinks about that. Lola, under Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool were supposedly mentality monsters, but Neville thinks you've gone soft. What do you think?
Well, I'd like to remind Mr. Neville that we did start the season with 5 consecutive wins, and there were plenty of late goals in that run too. So I don't think it's that simple, obviously. But equally, to have conceded 5 goals in stoppage time this season suggests that there is a bit of a mentality issue. But I think, to be honest, it's just a product of we're constantly in football matches that are alive when we get to stoppage time. We never seem to be able to put distance between ourselves and the opponent. And that just means that when you do get to stoppage time, it can go either way.
Lola, I think Gary's correct when he's talking about the whinging. I think there is a lot of whinging. I'm not sure it necessarily comes from the pitch. I think it comes from your manager. I mean, an awful lot. I know Steven Gerrard pulled him up on it in the week, talking about the low block, how he doesn't like that all the time. Unfortunately, that's what you've got to face, your Liverpool manager, especially at Anfield. He's talked early on in the season about direct play, what he doesn't like against his side. He also talked about long throws, what undone him with Hill's long throw at Bournemouth at the weekend. So he's almost telling and crying about the things that his team doesn't like. What does he actually expect? Does he expect everyone to say, OK, Arne doesn't like this, so we're going to play a front foot game. We're going to open up the pitch. We're going to let their quality players, what have cost an absolute fortune, take us apart?
I don't think the manager's crying, Tim, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like coming out. You're the Liverpool manager. You don't come out in the press and complain about styles of football. It is true that the Premier League this season has been more direct than ever. The whole league seems to have just bent to Mikel Arteta's gravitational field of just playing for set pieces and long throw-ins. But that's another conversation. I don't think he should be coming out in the press saying things like that. And that is part of the frustration for me is... The other part of that is, of course, as you say, with the new signings, it's not like we're going out playing amazing attacking football. Liverpool's second half against Bournemouth, cumulatively, I think it was 0.37 XG. Yeah. So at the moment, I don't like the manager coming out and complaining about style of play, especially because it's the whole league and it's something you're going to face every week. But also go and do something about it. If you want to play really attacking football, go and play really attacking football. We're not doing that at the moment either.
But it's not only that, is he? He's also talking about having not enough rest in between games. You never play an early game in the Champions League when you're playing at the weekend. And he's talking about after the game about the injuries, what he's got to his squad, and how he's struggling to field a bench. Now, he's got to look at his man in the opposite dugout there, Areola, who lost the whole of his back 5. He lost Semenyo before this transfer window. Kluivert's out injured. Tavernier's got a long-term injury. He never, ever opens his mouth. You never hear a tweak out of him. So I would say to Arne, just get on with it, get your head down. Let us make the excuses for your team. Do not come out and make excuses. I know from first hand, if you're a manager and you're making excuses, people are not listening to you. Let the pundits make the excuses for you. Would you not agree?
I think the thing is, that there is not enough accountability in football beyond the manager, because the manager is the guy who we see, who sits in front of the media and has to do the press conferences after 38 games, win, lose or draw. But there are higher ups that make the decisions about transfers, and the structure at Liverpool is that Slot is the head coach. He's not got final say on transfers. Do I think that this season Slot would have liked to have gone into the Premier League season with at least 2 more players, a forward, a winger and a centre-back? Absolutely. So, look, we spent a lot of money. It is always important to contextualise the spending with the fact that we also sold a lot of players. So net spend does come into this. We sold basically in every position. It was a case of replacing and not adding. So I think there's that. I think, but you're right. Iraola has done an incredible job at Bournemouth. This season they've struggled a bit though, haven't they, Tim? It was 1 win since November and Dr. Liverpool came to the rescue there. But I don't know. Managers are always going to come out and try and defend the players. I think potentially it was a message to the board to try and get some business done in January, which feels insane to say after a £450 million spending spree. But you've got to factor in the net spend.
Lola, while you've been talking, there's been quite a lot of messages. There's one on the bottom of the screen, actually. That one's from Liam. It just says, Slot needs to be sacked. He has destroyed Liverpool after last season. And there has been a few messages quite similar. Do you agree with that? Is that the overwhelming feeling amongst Liverpool fans?
I think the fan base is certainly the majority of the fan base would not expect Arne Slot to be the manager by the start of next season. But I think the word destroyed isn't quite right. I think Arne Slot had multiple things that he had to do when he came in as Liverpool manager, and one of the biggest things he had to do was be the guy in the dressing room to follow Jurgen Klopp. He had to be the new voice, and he has done that. I don't think many people were expecting us to win the league. We won the league. I think part of his job, in a strange way, his job is done. He has been the guy to follow Jurgen Klopp. He has taken the squad from listening to one voice in the dressing room for 9 years to listening to a new voice. I think it's time for the next chapter. I think Slot's job is actually done, and it's time for the next chapter. It's time to move on.
Wow.
Move on without him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Surprised to hear that, Tim?
Yeah, a little bit. So obviously you're looking towards Xabi Alonso, who's stretching off at the moment, ready for the job, is he?
Well, people have been saying Gerrard.
Would you rather have Gerrard or Xabi?
It's a terrible moment for a Liverpool fan when you're looking over at Chelsea and Man United and thinking, I'm feeling a bit jealous here. But you look at the galvanising effect on Man United that bringing Carrick in has had. You can, in the short term, get results by changing the manager. And I think the big decision for Liverpool is, would changing the manager now help us to get into the top 4 or 5 and help us to go far into the Champions League? And if the answer to that is yes, and they have the candidate there, and yes, Tim, for me it would definitely be Xabi, then I don't understand why you would wait for summer. I really don't.
I understand what you're saying. If there's a manager out there and he's out of work at the moment, he's ready to come in, and he gives him an opportunity to look at the players. I was talking about it earlier with Glasner. In my opinion, if Palace had someone to bring in and he wasn't in work, I'd bring him in now. Let him have a look at the squad before you go into the summer market, but there's still an opportunity. There's a big prize. We know Liverpool can be very dangerous. On their day, with everyone fit, if they get everyone fit in the Champions League, this group of players are capable of winning the Champions League. They've done it before. I believe they're capable of doing it. I really do.
But that's my frustration. That is my frustration. We will talk again about the spending in the summer. We signed players that are the envy of Europe. There's no one in the league. You can't tell me everyone in the league wouldn't want Florian Wirtz in their team, or Hugo Ekitike, or Alexander Isak. We've got unbelievable players. Yes, the squad is unbalanced. Yes, we have big problems at centre-half and a lack of depth in wide areas. But this group of players is so talented, and they have shown that in the Champions League this season, which is, for me, another reason why I would really like, reluctantly and with so much respect and gratitude to Slot, would like to see us make a change, because football is in the here and now. Games are happening week after week after week, and we have the opportunity to achieve things this season. You can't just write it off and say, oh, we'll look at it again next season. The season is still happening.
Will you let us have Andy Robertson at Tottenham?
Robbo has to stay, Tim. we need him. We need him. He's such a legend, and he's so important in the dressing room. And obviously, I do understand he wants to play before the World Cup. I get that. And I'm going to say something that is probably lots of Liverpool fans aren't going to like. Right now, if you just take them on pure ability right now, there is not a lot between Robertson and Kostas Tsimikas. So if they were able to bring Tsimikas back in, it's not a disaster in terms of depth in that position, but it's what Robbo brings you off the pitch, his connection with the fans, his voice in the dressing room. So, I'm afraid that's a no, Tim. Unless you want to give us Mickey van der Ven.
Oh, no. No,
well,
that kind of.
Is there a potential problem in the summer? Canate still hasn't signed a new contract. That's not looking like it's going to be sorted anytime soon. Van Dijk's form hasn't been as good as it has in the past, but that's what happens with age, I suppose. And you're talking there about Robertson as well, potentially going. That's a lot of money to replace players who will not get you anything back, or not much.
Absolutely. It's a massive problem, and it's a massive reason why, going back to the summer, you look at the Mark Gahey deal and you think, why didn't they just go for that a bit sooner? For the sake of a few million, give Palace a bit more time to sort out a replacement, get a player a good market opportunity, good value. So, yes, there is still major surgery that needs to be done on the squad, and money that will need to be spent. But again, I point out, Liverpool did spend a lot of money in the summer, but we did bring a lot of money in. We were in a healthy place financially. We've got some problems regarding homegrown spots in the squad. We're going to need to sort that out. But yeah, there's going to need to be more money spent. In my opinion, start now. They've got a huge job to do in the summer. Bring in a centre back now. Take one player off the list for the summer. But
I think they're looking at a new centre half now because they had Mark Gay lined up. If it wasn't for injuries, long-term ones to Guardiola and Diaz, I'm not sure Man City would have gone in for Mark Gay. I think he was on his way to Liverpool. He was in the summer. I think it was just a matter of time whether they did it in January or next summer. Now they're going to have to look elsewhere and try and find another one. Murillo for me at Nottingham Forest. I know the Forest fans might like it. He's a top draw centre half, and you don't need Van de Ven. Just go and get Murillo.
That's why he said it. All right, Lola, thank you.
Thank you, guys.